a solo sailor on his sixth Virgin Voyages sailing for this year, and he just got off of a transatlantic. What is his perspective on what this experience has been like and what his experiences on Virgin Voyages has been like? What does he love, not love? What has he changed over time on how he sails and more coming up? Ahoy, sailors. I'm Christine Lozada. Welcome to the Virgin Voyages Tips podcast, an insider guide to navigating Virgin Voyages like a pro. You can find this on YouTube and every podcasting platform, but check the show notes. There's additional helpful information in there and a killer deal. So let's dive in. Who are you and where are we today?
My name is Bud Raymond, and we are in Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic.
And you actually walked to the beach today, which I am so impressed by. How long was your walk?
About 45 minutes to Playa Dorado.
And actually today was a nicer day than usual at Puerto Plata.
I didn't get rained on once.
That's
it was
amazing.
Not that hot, really, I didn't think.
I love that. And
Yeah.
this is not, you are not a virgin.
No.
How many sailings have you done with Virgin Voyages?
It's my sixth this year.
I love that. And I can't wait to tell you about the different kinds of perspective he has, because it's not just a single ship or a single itinerary you've done.
Right.
But just so people know, how many cruises overall have you done?
I think about 30.
Yeah.
Mixed between Norwegian, Royal. I did a river cruise once,
Oh, neat.
and then 6 here.
Yeah. So, of the 6 sailings that you've done this past year, which one was your favorite and why?
I just got off a Transatlantic on Scarlet Lady, and that was definitely my favorite. It was 16 days and beautiful ports. You know, the Caribbean's very pretty, but I'm more of a history buff, so going to Barcelona, we got to see the Sagrada Familia, then we went to Malaga, Madeira, Tenerife, which I'd never been to.
Yeah.
So the ports were super interesting, and then also I like the longer duration because you get to meet the people on the ship, the staff you get a relationship with.
Yeah, you get time. You get time to both enjoy, do all of the things, and also relax and then go deep on meeting people.
Right.
The number one thing that I hear, and I'm curious what your response to this is,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, 16 days, that's so long. Or did you get bored? Did you ever feel like it was too long or you were bored?
No, never. Now, so my very first transatlantic was on Royal Caribbean, 2008.
Not
and,
yesterday.
And that one I got bored on.
Why?
They didn't have as many interesting activities to do, and I didn't spend as much time going out to meet people.
Yeah.
So I was playing bridge, and so I had a very small group of people, and it started to become monotonous. So since then I've learned to really interact with people, and then you can have, I had a board game group.
Yeah.
So one day we just board gamed for 4 hours.
fun.
Then the next day we did karaoke. So I
Yeah.
love the karaoke booths. Super fun, because you can get people that are normally terrified to do karaoke, and they really open up. That's super fun.
Well, I mean, it's a great environment for it because you can go into different sized rooms.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be this public display of
Right.
your awful singing. It can be a fun, just a smaller group type of thing.
Exactly. And that's why I love it, because you really get to interact with people more.
I'm curious what your reaction is to this, because I have my own, or had my own hesitations around a transatlantic sailing, because I'm going to do one in 2025. And I was like, I don't think there's going to be enough stuff. And I realized that they change the daily entertainment and itineraries to have more stuff,
Right.
more options for people. Did you notice that on your transatlantic versus your non-transatlantic Virgin Voyage sailings?
Yeah, for sure. They had a lot more comedians. So typically they only have one, sometimes two, and we had 3 for the first week, and then they all left, and 3 more came in.
Yeah.
And I'm used to the ship show, dinner show, and then they had the LOL Supper Club. So they would have all 3 comedians perform, and then it was the same thing. You'd have dinner during the show.
Oh, that's neat.
So that was really enjoyable.
Was that an additional paid activity?
Nope, it
It
was included.
included.
Yep, and they had bottomless drinks at it too. So for $30, you could get unlimited drinks.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
See, these are the types of things where I'm like, so that's something I've never seen or experienced across the, I've lost track. I think it's 16 Virgin Voyages sailings. I've never experienced that. I've had a comedian on board. You and I sat together at Sean Finnerty's show, but I haven't seen something like that. I think that's really neat. Okay,
Yeah.
I would love to keep it honest about things you love
and things you might not love. I would love to hear first, because everyone always talks about Virgin Voyages with the food. What are your 2 favorite things to eat on board?
Pink agave is my #1 favorite. The cochinita pibil, which is like this slow marinated. I'm pretty sure it's Oaxacan. I think it's fantastic. And funny enough, last night I actually had to send it back. I was like, this is not the way it's supposed to taste. It's like, it's been sitting out for a long time. Like, I've had this dish so many times, this is not right.
Did you send it back and they sent a new one to you? And was it?
It was perfect.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, they were like, well, I checked with the chef to make sure he found one that was, cooked right, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
So, I mean, things like that happen, and I'm not afraid to speak up. But one of the comedians actually said that, the whole plan with Virgin was like small portions, and then he was like, the Brits will be like, oh, Edith, I know you're still hungry, but we can't bother them to get another plate. And then the Americans come in and be like, I'll have 37 tacos, please.
At least to start.
Yeah.
That's funny. Actually, one of the things I always hear from people is, I overheard on Virgin Voyages.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to order more than one main dish?
Yeah.
It's like, you can order more than one anything.
Yeah.
And of course, yeah. So you sent it back and they made it right.
Perfect.
I love that.
And then extra virgin's really good. And most of the time, extra virgin, I just order all the appetizers.
Oh, yeah.
And they had like this salmon hamachi kind of thing, like sashimi on the Transatlantic.
I haven't seen that one.
It was so good.
Actually, were there differences in menu items?
Well, for the holiday sailings, yes. So they were teasing a little bit of the holiday tamale, pink agave, and then the bean soup, and then they said they were testing out a D menu for Test Kitchen.
Oh, no way.
So, yeah.
Actually, I'm so curious. I haven't asked you this question yet.
Sure.
Test Kitchen, yes or no?
Yeah, I like it for what it is. It's a tasting menu, and as long as you go in with that mindset, you don't have to like everything, but it's supposed to be very high concept.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that they really earnestly do high concept, which means some things are going to be a miss.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine.
It's not meant for people to love every single dish.
Right.
It's meant for people to be able to try something that potentially they've never otherwise been able to try.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah, so I enjoy it. But you got to go in with the right mindset.
Yeah, I agree with that. Not so favorite dish on Virgin Voyages.
The salt baked dorado at Wake.
No, is it too salty?
Yeah, I've never enjoyed it. Yeah.
I love salty things.
Yeah.
It comes out looking like a goldfish cracker, and then
it's like a salt esophagus.
Yeah, you have to really like salty things to like that fish.
Yeah, it's too much for me.
It's so salty, and I love it.
Yeah.
And my blood pressure definitely raises afterwards. Okay, hold on. One favorite dessert.
Oh my God, the flan at Pink Agave.
Oh yeah.
So good.
You know what? I had that for my first time. It took me this many sailings to have it for my first time last week on Resilient Lady.
Yeah, they do like a berry mousse or something with it. It's so freaking good.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, so 6 Virgin Voyages sailings. Right now we are in the Dominican Republic on Valiant Lady on the 5-night Dominican Daze. How would you describe the vibe of this sailing? Like for someone who's like, oh, like who was on board and like how was it? Like how would you describe the vibe?
Well, so the manor stays open till 2, 3 in the morning, and by midnight on the Transatlantic it was closed and empty.
Really?
So that's a stark contrast.
Oh, interesting.
This is much more party dance vibe.
Yeah.
Some of that's the weather too. You can be out on the pool deck all day.
Yeah. I noticed that on my Resilient Lady sailing, which was around the Virgin Islands. It was 8 nights, so a longer sailing.
Right.
People really went out and enjoyed the sunshine, the ports, as they should. But same thing. It meant the manor was like DED dead. Like it was, no one was there. Not no one. It was relatively empty versus people come on in Miami like ready to go is how I oftentimes feel about these sailings.
Yep, 100% agree. Yeah.
And how would you describe who is on board? Because I got asked a question last night from someone who's like, how does this demographic, compare to your other sailings? And I'm like, well, I even asked her, I was like, what would you describe as the demographic that's on this sailing? So what would you say?
I would say it's the most African Americans I've ever seen cruising. And I don't know if that's because it's the Valiant Lady's mermaid is a black lady, or it's just the itinerary or what, but definitely it attracts African Americans.
Yeah.
And so there's like a lot more hip hop music.
Yeah. That was a new thing that I've noticed over the years.
Yeah.
Before it was, I could never get hip hop, and the only time I could was the We Fancy Party would oftentimes have some hip hop.
Right.
But now even our Scarlet Night, I don't know if you read it in the itinerary, it says Scarlet Night Hip Hop After Party.
I did see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will be there tonight.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm gonna hit the spa tonight. I love the thermal spa.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you do that. That makes me really
And the cold plunge, like, well, I think it was my first sailing. Somebody was like, "Have you done the cold plunge yet?" And I was like, "No, I'll try it." And I love it. Like, I'll go in the sauna for 15, 20 minutes, then jump in the cold pool for like 5 minutes, and do that for a couple hours, and then I'm like, absolute jello. It's been fantastic.
I love hearing that.
Yeah.
Okay, I already know what someone else is going to ask, which is, so of the 6 sailings you've done, you were just on Scarlet, now you're on Valiant. Have you been on Resilient yet?
I have not.
People are always like, oh, what's the difference between the ships?
Well,
How would you answer that?
so Scarlet just came out of dry dock, and there's actually quite a few subtle changes that they
Yes.
made. The biggest one is they made Lucky Lotus, so it's Razzle Dazzle restaurant Lucky Lotus, which is Chinese, and it's, I'm very picky about Chinese food, so it was not my favorite. It was very hard. I understand they're trying to cater to a pretty broad clientele, and you can't make Szechuan noodles as spicy as they're supposed to be, otherwise everyone will complain it's too spicy. But to me, like, if I order Szechuan noodles, I want to be sweating, So it was a little bit of a disappointment, but I understand why they have that sort of bland palate.
I like the way you just described that. Were you sweaty at all?
No. So that Lucky Lotus is, I would say, by far the biggest change. And then they did a lot of, like, I don't know how else to describe it, old proofing the ship. So they took a lot of trip hazards off of the athletic deck.
Ah, interesting.
And they took out all the things that were on the floor that, obviously I never used, but somebody must have been using it. And they're all gone. They took out the triangular couches on the pool deck. And then they put a bunch more railings to get into the pool.
Yeah.
I guess assume someone slipped at one point or something.
Even as I'm listening to you, I'm like, these are relatively minor changes. Like, what's funny to me about sailing Resilient for the first time and then coming back to Valiant this week, I'm like, oh, well, the colors are different.
Right.
Aside from that, it's like the lineup, the entertainment, the ports, the crew is different. But
Yeah, the social club, there's 2
Shuffleboard tables?
in the walkway instead of the one inside.
Yeah.
Which I actually prefer because there's more seating in the social club.
Yeah, that's true.
So I actually like that difference. But again, I'm curious to see Brilliant's floor plan because apparently they narrow it just enough to make it Panamax.
Exactly.
Right.
Which, for someone who's like, oh, what does that mean? To be able to fit in the Panama Canal,
Right.
you can't be a large, I mean, not to say that these ships
Wide.
are large by any means, but you need to be lose a little bit of weight on the sides. Okay, I have a final question for you. And maybe the answer is nothing. But is there anything you've changed over your 6 sailings on how you sail with Virgin Voyages? Like, do you do things differently? Or is there anything you're doing differently on this sailing than your last one that you've learned?
It took me a couple of sailings to realize how good the Opa Hour is.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love the dock is
Wait,
probably my favorite spot on the
Favorite
ship.
dish at Opa Hour?
The lamb skewers.
Oh, yeah, those are delicious.
Yeah.
Those are good.
So I generally on sea days I'll spend at least a couple hours on the dock. And actually, so my very first sailing, Richard Branson just happened to be on it. It wasn't a celebration sailing or
You played
anything.
chess with him?
And I played chess with him just randomly because I work with celebrities a lot, so I'm not usually starstruck. But I was like, I don't want to be like, oh, hey, can I get your picture, Mr. Branson?
Yeah.
So he had noticed he was carrying a chessboard with him, which he always does. So I waited for him to finish eating, and I just said, Mr. Branson, I only have one question to ask you. When are we going to play chess, sir? And he was like, right now, sit down. So it was fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
It makes me so
He was talking
happy.
trash, too. He charges down with his queen. He's like, am I going too fast for you? Do it. I was like, no, I ended up beating him. Yeah.
I was going to ask who won.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that story.
Yeah.
Can I tell you one thing I'm doing differently on this sailing?
Sure.
I always focused my dining at the restaurants. And I really never ate dinner ever in the galley.
Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't.
And being able to see what the dinner menu is, because they'll send you a daily notification on what's the menu,
Right.
has been game-changing for me.
Right.
Because sometimes I love sitting down and dining for a long time and enjoying all the things. And other times I want something quick, but yet still really delicious.
Uh-huh.
And so I've been dining at the galley and eating like the daily dinner dish that they have.
Oh.
And that was really different for me. And it also means you get to see more of the entertainment and cast because they're all in there dining too. And you can hang out with them, which is really fun. But that's a new thing that I changed.
Cool.
Thank you for doing this with me.
Yeah, my pleasure.
This has been another episode of Virgin Voyages Tips Podcast. If it was helpful, please share it with somebody. And we want you to book your sailing with us. We'd love to help you set sail because we're here for you every step of the way. A reminder to check the show notes. Things on Virgin Voyages changes all the time, and you'll find more helpful links and resources in the description. We'll see you in the next episode.